Did I miss something? Sorry, hello. We don't have any lesson next week, something like that?
Exactly. Well, good evening, first of all. Next Monday on the 28th, there will be no lesson. Normally, when I'm away, Xuan is teaching pranayama instead. But next week, Xuan is moving, and I will be also traveling on that Monday. So next Monday, nothing. But the week after that, in December, we can meet again.
Thank you.
So, first of all, as always, let's sit for half an hour. And today I will talk about some quotes by Sawaki Roshi. And if you want to share something after that or you want to ask a question, you're welcome to do so.
我们还是前面30分钟坐禅，然后后面大家一块儿讨论公案啊。
Thank you very much for joining into Zazen. Today I want to talk about Sawaki's quotes from To You. I think we are on page 15. The first quote on page 15, maybe I talked about it already 2 weeks ago. You do everything that people praise you for. You run after those who are praised. You are never yourself. Especially today on the internet, we do a lot of that. And the next quote, everyone's talking about common sense, but what do they mean? Don't they simply mean thinking like the others? Thinking what group stupidity dictates. Here again, Sawaki Roshi is using this expression group stupidity or group bokeh in Japanese. He uses that a lot in this chapter. I think what he tries to say here is pretty straightforward. Rather than follow group stupidity, we have to learn to use our own senses, to look with our own eyes and listen with our own ears and learn how to think with our own head. But I think this quote, especially today, can be a little bit dangerous because there's a lot of people that say that actually what you hear on the so-called mainstream media, that's all group stupidity. You shouldn't believe what you hear on television, what you read in the newspapers. That's all just common sense. But in German, they are called Querdenker. I don't know if there's a good English word for that, but one group in America would be a QAnon. People that doubt everything that's on mainstream media, and they think that they took the red pill. Everybody else is blinded by the blue pill, and they are the ones that took the red pill. They know what is true. But the reason why I think that's dangerous is because this red pill is just another form of group stupidity. Of course, you cannot trust everything that's on mainstream media, but that doesn't mean that you can trust everything that's in the so-called alternative media or whatever you find on the internet. So getting free of group stupidity is really difficult because who guarantees what you think in your head? The ideas that you have up here are true. Even you yourself alone, you are stupid as a single human being as well. So this is really difficult, especially in this time where so many information, lots of informations, lots of alternative facts and truths. And who can decide which is the real truth? Well, nobody. But somebody has to decide. You have to decide, but you're also stupid. That's really a difficult one, I think, especially today in these times.
我先简单跟大家说一下，Sawaki Roshi 的中文翻译成泽木老师。我们今天分享他的那本书，泽木老师也是安泰寺，就是我之前去的那个安泰寺的前住持，他现在已经过世了。然后我们今天分享的这一段就是，每个人大家其实都在谈论常识，但是什么是常识呢？这到底是什么意思呢？那我们可不可以简单认为这些常识都是你要像就是你的想法要和别人一样？那这种想法是不是就是这个组织给你发出来的一个信号？那你看，其实中文有点不好翻译哈。他其实提到了一个词，我们之前也提过，就是集体愚昧这个词。就是当你在一个集体里面的时候，这个集体给你发出来一个信号， 这个老师泽木老师把它称之为集体愚昧哈，其实这个集体愚昧在我们现在这个社会也很危险。就是你看我们现在其实一些主流的媒体或者是新闻的一些媒体，像电视啊、报纸啊，就是他们这些新闻不一定都是真的。但是呢，但是又很难，因为每一个组织都认为自己的想法是真的，就是当你在这个组织里面的时候，你很难看出来，你很难认识到啊，原来我的想法是不对的，或者是我们这个组织大家可能发出来一个信号是不正确的，这个特别难。你想从就是在你的这个固有的认知当中跳出来，获得自由其实很难，特别是当你认为你相信的这个事儿，要你去怀疑它就很难。我们现在有很多的信息，没有人知道到底哪个是真的，哪个是假的。所以泽木老师其实在这儿，他就是在提醒大家，不要轻易的相信哪一个信息，也不要轻易的认为哪个信息就不对，也不要认为自己认识的那个完全正确。当你在一个组织里面的时候呢，也不要认为这个组织发出来这些信号就是真的。他就是说的这些啊。
The next quote. If you're impressed by name and position, it means you're impressed by the same things that impress everyone else. I've the feeling that's especially true in Japan, that people are always asking for your name and position. Or I think in the West, it's already out of fashion, but still a lot of people in Japan, they carry around those business cards. And when you meet somebody for the first time, you exchange these business cards. And what you look for on the business card is the name and the position of that person. And I I felt that especially strong after I retired from my position as the abbot of Antaiji 2 years ago. Until then, if people asked me, well, who are you? What's your position? I could say I'm the abbot of Antaiji. But now, for example, when I publish a book or I write something or I appear on TV or I give a talk somewhere, people ask me, well, who are you now? Who are you now? You're not the abbot of Antaiji anymore. So what should we write on the poster or what should we write on the cover of the book? And I say, well, I'm still Muho. I'm still Muho. There hasn't much changed. I used to live in Antaiji, now I live in Osaka. But people then ask me, well, yes, but who are you? Who are you? you have to be somebody. Well, look at me, that's who I am. But people obviously they want something more. So they have to write, well, the former abbot of Antaiji. Because being just some online Zen teacher is not enough. An online Zen teacher living in Osaka is not enough for most people. So for some reason, people are not willing to just look at the person. They want a name, they want a position, they want something like a business card.
然后这一段啊，就是书上是这样写的，我们好像都特别在意，或者是你对这个人的名字和位置特别在意，或者是印象深刻，那这是什么意思呢？也就是说，那你在意的这些事情也是别人任何一个人所在意的，就是原文是这么写的。然后老师说，这个就是在意一个人的名字，还有你是干什么的？你在哪个位置上边？在日本特别的，就是特别明显。可能西方人哈，就是不大在意问你那个，就是你是干什么的，然后你家里是干什么的。其实，在日本好像我不知道，好像在国内，在咱中国也是哈，总是问你是干什么工作，你是干嘛的，就总是问你是干嘛的。特别是在日本，大家都有名片，就是第一次见面的时候都会发名片。 然后老师呢，他之前在安泰寺18年嘛，他一直在山里边儿。他以前是住持的时候呢，比如出来做演讲，或者是有一些别的什么出书啊什么的时候，写介绍的时候，他可以说啊，我是安泰寺的住持。但是现在他2年之前退休了，然后他现在呢？现在你说他退休之后，别人再问他，他就很难说。你说我到底现在是谁呀？我现在是谁？我不是还是我之前那个我，但是我现在介绍不好介绍了。然后别人问，特别是在他现在想写东西出书的时候，就是写介绍的时候，他说：“那我就是我呀，我还是那个吴芳了，我还是吴芳，我没有变呀，我只是之前生活在那个安泰寺，我现在在大阪，我生活在大阪，我还是我没有变。但是这样不行，这样好像是不够的。你像他出去做讲座呀、写东西呀、出书的时候，别人好像还是很喜欢在他的那个名字前面写。他虽然现在不是住持了，但是加一个前，他就会介绍老师，他是前住持，就好像一定要给你在哪儿找出一个位置来，要不然好像就找不到这个人。你看大家都在看这个名片上面的名字呀，你是干什么的？但是很难看到你面前这个活生生的人。那我不就是站在你面前上这个人吗？但是大家好像都不看，都在盯着那个名片在看，大概是这个意思。
Okay, maybe we do one more quote. The next one is also a little bit dangerous. An election is a curious thing. Just look at the faces of the people who are voting. It's obvious they don't understand a thing about politics, and they don't know anything about the politicians they are voting for either. Still, they're all off to the polls. How odd. So, in democratic countries, every, I don't know, 4 years or so, there are elections, and usually everybody who's above a certain age, above 18 or so, has the right to vote. And often, at least where I grew up in Germany, but also in Japan, it's counted as a good sign if participation in these elections is high. So nobody says that you have a duty to vote, but sometimes it sounds that not only do you have a right to vote, but actually you should vote. If you don't vote, you're not really fulfilling your duty as a full-fledged grown-up person. But actually, I have to confess that never in my life I participated in an election until now. Never once. Part of the reason is because in Japan I don't have the right to vote. And I remember once when I was still a student in Berlin, there was an election and it was Sunday. I thought I wanted to go, but then I slept too long, and in the evening my girlfriend called me and asked, well, whom did you vote for? And that moment I realized, oh, today was election, I forgot to vote. And after that I was already in Japan, so I never voted my whole life. And usually that's not considered to be a good thing. Usually people say, well, you should vote each time. If you vote left or right, it doesn't matter, but you should vote. But when you think about it, it's kind of strange. Because, well, if you drive a car, first you need to take a license. And also, for example, if, I don't know, a restaurant gets a star in the Michelin guides, usually there are experts who decide that. It's not that everybody gets to vote, and the restaurant that gets the most likes ends up in the Michelin guide. For some reason, we suppose that in politics, the more people give their opinion, the more people give their likes for a certain party, the better the outcome will be. And for a long time, actually, that worked. Democracy for a long time, over 100 years, it worked that way. But can we really be sure that, I don't know, in Japan there's 120 million people and maybe 100 million of those are entitled to vote? But 100 million people that really don't know anything about politics or not much, are they really able to find the right politician to guide the country? But then again, and that's the dangerous thing, well, if democracy doesn't work anymore, is there any alternative? Right now it seems we don't really have a good alternative. Still, when we go to vote, do we really know why we vote for a person? Do we really have a good reason for that? On the other hand, if we don't have a good reason, still, how do you say, can we excuse ourselves from democratic process and say, well, I don't know so much about politics, so I just stay at home? In my case, I have the excuse that I'm living in Japan and I don't have a Japanese nationality, so I cannot vote here. Still, if I had a Japanese nationality, whom would I vote for? Good question, difficult question. Okay, so much from my side today. Maybe Xuan-san can translate.
然后我们今天还有最后这一小段讲的是选举，那个书上写的是选举是一件特别奇怪的事情，就是我们大家来看那些就是给参加去投票的人，去投票选出，就是我们去投票，然后选出一个人，看那些人的脸，这些人好像根本就不懂政治，他们都根本也不明白，也不认识这些政客。但是他们去选这些政客，那为什么要去参加选举呢？就是这个，就是大家去投票，去投的这些人呢，就是被选出来的这些人，其实是被一帮不懂政治，然后也不了解这些人的人选出来的，就是一件特别奇怪的事儿。这是那个祖母老师书上写的，然后刚才老师解释就是说，确实是一般的国家都有选举，就是公民都有选举权啊。咱们国家可能不一样，咱们国家是人大代表是吧？大家选举，在日本好像也是大家都有选举权，外国人没有选举权，日本的公民有选举权。然后那个老师在德国的时候呢，他之前德国好像也是有选举的，但是他一次都没参加过。有一次他想去，就是他一个朋友说我们今天正好去选举，两个朋友一起去，结果老师那天睡过了，他选举那天睡过了没起来，所以他也没参加。你看他就是你看他你看像我们比如说那个司机要开车哈，然后你要去考一个证，是这个司机自己去考，对吧？你去考证，或者是你食堂，比如我们一个食堂想要开业的时候，是这个食堂自己去有营业执照啊，是他自己去，不是谁选出来，不是别人选出来然后让你去干，不是别人选是让你去，因为就是这个开车的人他自己去有证哈。那为什么选举呢？要是要别人选，而不是这个人他就是老师就觉得选举这个事儿非常的奇怪哈，而且好像不去参加选举的人，因为大家都选，然后你不去参加选举吧，你好像也没有一个正当的理由。你像老师之前他没去，是因为他睡过了哈，他有一个理由他没去。然后他在日本呢，他是外国人，所以他也不用参加。那如果要是日本人的话，你如果不去的话，大家都去，那你是什么理由不去呢？这个好像就是一种集体愚昧哈，大家都去你也得去，好像是你的一个义务，你应该就是大家都即使你不懂，这个那个政治，或者是你不知道这些人，你也应该投。可是为什么要投呢？这个就是你真的懂怎么选吗？我们不选又能怎么样呢？所以不选又没有不选的理由。就这个就是Zazen那个就是泽木老师写的一个现象啊，就是集体愚昧的一个现象。然后大家有问题可以提啊。
Andrea, you look like I usually dress in December, January. Probably in Germany it's much colder already. Right now, even without using the heating, it still says 21 degrees on this clock. Might be a little bit cooler. I put it on the laptop, so maybe it's a little bit warmer. But usually in January, in February, I look like Andrea because I don't use the heating here. But anyway, if you have questions or anything that you would like to share, please don't hesitate. Either start to talk or raise your hand or use the chat function, whatever you prefer. Yes, Marek, please.
Hello, am I heard?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello from Warsaw, Poland. I am in the country that is squeezed between Germany that you come from and Ukraine that you commented on a few weeks ago, if I'm correct, and a country in between. By
Yes.
the way, pretty cold since you remarked to the temperature. It's pretty cold day now. Anyway, it's my first visit to your online Zendo, and I would like to congratulate you sincerely for the excellent idea to make such meetings. And this is the first time I join a community like this, and I realize how intimate this circle is. Just a bunch of people, and I thought, in the time of internet when everywhere is so crowded, to be able to join for such an intimate meeting is a real privilege. And I came across a few days ago your channel on YouTube, and I saw was a commentary on 10 ox-herding picture, but the big part of it was from, judging by the quality of the image, it must have been recorded some time ago, but a big part of it, I don't know if you remember this piece, but you, what was even more interested for me was the story of your life, how you get involved in Zen as a teenager in Germany, then your story in Japan in monasteries, which, judging from what you told, have a very feudal structure, very hierarchical, very strong hierarchy, which might be difficult for us that come from West. So I remember from what you told, you told that you started, if I'm correct, you told that you started your sitting, or you met Zen in 1984. Is it correct?
Yes, that's right.
Was it 1984?
Yes.
So incidentally, it was also the year that I started my sitting here in Warsaw, and and then in the 1990s, I used to go to the retreats here in Poland with a group led by. I don't know if you know the Japanese teacher Taizan Maezumi, who a late Taizan Maezumi. He was from family of Japanese priests from a Harada family, but he was sent to the United States to as a missionary, and I met him twice in Poland. He was twice in Poland in 1980s and in 1990s, and also sit with one of his students, Dennis Genpo-Mercel, who's an American, and he used to come to Poland till some time. So I spent quite a few years with this group. Now I'm on my own, and it's very nice for me to be able to sit with people again after many years. So I don't want to take too much time, but let me express again my great joy about meeting all of you and being able to spend this time together.
Thank you. Welcome. And well, as I said in the beginning, next Monday there's going to be no class, but after that, December 5th, probably every Monday. So whenever you would like to join, please feel welcome to join. Hasim is raising his hand. Please, Hasim.
Hello, everyone. I think I share the same views with Marek. It's a big privilege for you to share your experiences with us. It's really a big opportunity. So, I mean, Zoom and online, maybe we have to thank COVID. I don't know if it makes sense. And by the way, I think Poland is an awesome country. I have seen many Polish people there after Qigong, meditation. It's incredible. I have to say about Polish people. I'm from Turkey.
Where are you from?
I'm from Turkey. I live in Istanbul. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. And my question is, I started practicing Zazen about almost 30 years ago under a retired lawyer in Istanbul. He had a small sangha, but he was self-practiced. So the first thing he taught us about Zazen was just to be mindful about the breath. Mm-hmm. So when you inhale and when you exhale, you count. I'm speaking about very fundamental thing, but it's a thing that made my mind busy for years. Mm. And he said nothing, it's all. You just, when you breathe in, one, when you breathe out. And I was asking, is there anything more? He said, no, that's it. You know, I was buying books, English books, you know, trying to learn. And there I learned something Shikantaza, but it was like imagination. It was beyond my imagination. Mm. So until I started practicing just sitting, my question is, the counting the breath or following the breath, is it a practice in Soto Zen tradition? Because it seems like anapanasati, just mindfulness of breathing, like vipassana or something like that. Mm. Or was it the way that our teacher taught us? Or people start with another practice? Mm-hmm. I hope you have understood my question.
Mm-hmm. Dogen Zenji does not recommend it. So that's the reason why some Soto teachers say you shouldn't do it, while others say in the beginning it helps you to concentrate. I think the reason why Dogen Zenji doesn't recommend it is sometimes when during Zazen you always put your attention on the breath, you try to be mindful on the breath. That leads to a very, how do you say, narrow focus. You're always watching your breath, and sometimes you can even develop some kind of mindfulness neurosis. You try to be even more mindful. Maybe I should watch the breath even closer, and then you start to kind of check yourself. Am I really mindful? And no, I was thinking, and now that. So sometimes you should do even less. So just being mindful of the breath doesn't sound like much, but actually, whenever you sit, you tell yourself, I need to be mindful of the breath. And sometimes it can be helpful to do even less and even forget this idea of I need to be mindful and just sit and just let mindfulness happen by itself in a way. The problem is that often in the beginning, mindfulness does not happen by itself. So it can help as a kind of entrance to be mindful of the breath. But then when you become aware that actually it doesn't take so much, you don't have to make an effort to be mindful, then you get to that point where mindfulness just happens. And then you can even let go of the breath. You don't have to watch the breath anymore.
So the new students who come to the Antaiji or Soto Zen temple, I think they're not directly instructed for just sitting or shikantaza. What do you teach, if you can share? I'm just curious.
In Antaiji we don't really teach much. So basically it's the sitting posture, kind of breathing with a diaphragm, but then what you do with the mind, there's really not much to say. So you don't have to try to empty the mind. There will be thoughts, there will be feelings in your mind. You don't have to try to suppress them. You should just take care that, how do you say, it's sometimes I use the metaphor of a merry-go-round or carousel. How do you say? In German we say Karussell. A merry-go-round, I think you say in English. So the thoughts are always kind of circulating like this merry-go-round. It's just that you should take care that you don't sit in the carousel, that you don't rotate with the thoughts, but rather you let those thoughts rotate, but you're watching from the outside. Without trying to stop the carousel, you don't ride in the carousel, you just let it circulate. And sometimes it happens, especially in the beginning, it happens that you ride in there. You ride with the thoughts. And often during Zazen, you realize, oh, I've been thinking for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, for the most of the time I've been thinking. And when you realize that, you don't have to feel bad. Oh, shit, I wasted this time. The moment you realize you've been sitting in the merry-go-round, get off. And it can help, for example, in that moment to watch your breath again for some time. But I think ideally you shouldn't be mindful of the breath only, but of everything that happens, of the things that you see in the room, you hear the sounds, you're aware of the whole body, and eventually you can allow your mind also to be open to the thoughts and feelings. Once you get that stability, that you don't ride in that merry-go-round.
So that means in a session, people do not focus on the breath. They focus in a great perspective to everything.
Exactly. I think ideally you open your mind in all directions, 360 degrees.
I see. Thank you very much.
Joseph also is raising his hand. Please, Joseph.
Hi. Two things. First of all, quickly, hello from Dad. He still wants to be part of this group. He was very sorry to miss today. He's just had some bad personal news he's dealing with, but he wants me to say hello from him. So my question was about the last quote by Kurosawaki on democracy. And in recent years, like in the West, we've seen a lot of there's been this big trend for something called engaged Buddhism, involved in politics explicitly.
I don't know if it's on my side or on your side, but the connection seems to be bad. Joseph, does anybody hear Joseph? I don't hear you, Joseph. No, the others don't hear you. So probably it's a connect problem on your side. You started to talk about engaged Buddhism, but that's when it stopped. Joseph, either your connection is bad or you started to do Zazen and you're in a deep state of samadhi and you meditated yourself away. Any other questions? Xuan-san is raising her hand.
Yeah, maybe Joseph will come back later. So when we study, it's hard to study by your own. Like we sit together, it's easier we have a group sit together. And we need a teacher. But it's a group stupidity. So it's kind of hard to we wanted to study, but it's hard to study by your own. You study with a group and follow a teacher. But maybe the teacher is not right sometimes. Maybe the group, like Savaki Roshi said, maybe the idea was not good. That's the difficulty. So seems like we need a group, but you still need to, how to say, be clearly by your own. You needed to know, but yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, like in Zen and I think in yoga as well, the teacher is really important, but nowhere Dogen Zenji says that you should follow the teacher blindly. There's a chapter inside the Shobogenzo Zuimonki where Dogen Zenji says, if you don't understand what the teacher says, or if you don't agree with what the teacher says, don't try to impress the teacher by following him blindly, but rather, if you don't understand it, if you don't agree with it, you should ask. You should ask over and over again until you understand what the teacher wants to say. And of course, also a teacher needs students who can ask questions. A teacher doesn't need students that follow blindly. And in history, there's often been teachers that maybe they were strange from the beginning, but also maybe after a while they became strange. And one reason why sometimes teachers turn strange is because they're surrounded by stupid students that follow them blindly without ever asking a question. That's why it's important to ask a question if you have a question, and it should be a good question.
Yeah, isn't it important to be able to say no to the teacher as well? That sometimes teacher can be very much wrong. There is a famous koan about a Zen teacher who killed a cat, and nobody from his students stopped him, and wasn't it? I never studied koans systematically, but for me as a story, well, as you can see, I'm a cat person, and so it was this story was moving for me, and for me it was obvious that it was the moment that we have to take sides. Either we take sides of the animal or the tradition, the teacher, the authority, and it was for me the obvious point to say no to the teacher. You know, no matter what the consequences. But this was the famous story. But when we say when we look at the controversies that are in the spiritual tradition, so and we see that actually teachers do make mistakes sometimes to get involved in very questionable behaviors, and their group, there's nobody to say no to, and this is the problem. So, well, this was my reaction to what you told me. I hope it makes some sense. It makes some sense.
Does anybody still have a question? No more questions for today? If not, I would be happy to see you again in 2 weeks, December 5th. We will meet again. Thank you for joining today. Thank you for sharing. Unfortunately, we couldn't hear Joseph's question, but he writes that he's gonna post it in the comment section later. So I will upload this recording later to my new channel, Zen and Zazen with Muho channel. And then you can also exchange your thoughts and things that you want to share in the comment section. Okay, thank you for joining today. Have a good 2 weeks and see you again December 5th. Thank you, Xuan, for hosting us, and have a good move to Tokyo.
Thank you, Mo. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.
最后几